friends, welcome to Cosplay Kitchen. The holiday season can be a wonderful time of the year, but it can also be an incredibly busy one. So today I'm going to teach you how to be prepped for a party days in advance. So the day of the party, all you have to do is sit back, relax, and be merry. So today I'm cosplaying Jovi from the movie Elf, and we're here to make sure your most wonderful time of the year stays that way. First thing we're gonna make is baked Brie, a holiday standard in my home. You need pre-packaged puff pastry, Brie, and if you want to stuff it like we are today, you need a piece of butcher's twine and some cranberry sauce. Let's get started. First thing we need to do is roll out our puff pastry. Now puff pastry, if you don't roll it out, is going to puff up to be almost a full inch thick. We're not looking for a big full puff, we are looking for just a nice crispy crust. Always make sure that your puff pastry gets a chance to fully and completely defrost before you begin to roll it out. If not, then when you go to roll it out, it's going to end up cracking, which will not make for a very nice presentation. So just make sure that your puff pastry stays cold. The reason being, what creates those wonderful layers and the flakes is the layers of butter inside of the pastry. If you allow the pastry to get warm, it will melt the butter on the inside and you're going to lose all of those layers. Gently roll it out. We're going to be trimming it up anyway, so it does not matter if it becomes slightly amoeba-like, just looking to thin it out. And if it begins to stick a little, just go ahead and add a tiny bit more of your flour. But don't add any more than you need to. As we've discussed in other videos, this can increase the production of gluten as make your puff pastry quite a bit tougher. Take your butcher's twine, and this is how we are going to stuff it. You're gonna wrap it around the middle and then just pull tight. And the string will perfectly cut it right down the center. You can try and do this with a knife, but I can guarantee you it will not work that well. You can also use some dental floss as long as it is unflavored. Yes, mint and cinnamon are both very seasonal, but they don't go so good in Brie. I am using a homemade cranberry chutney. You can just use regular cranberry sauce. Place the top back on. Now we need to trim around the edges because there is way more puff pastry here than we need. I like to use a pizza cutter because it makes a nice smooth cut. Then we're gonna go and we're gonna begin to pull it in. Then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put it into a pan, wrap it up in the refrigerator, so it'll be ready to go. Our next recipe are savory pumpkin pinwheels. It's gonna start out with 1 cup of pumpkin. To that, we are going to add in 2 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese. As much as I love fresh Parmesan cheese, don't use fresh, it will not work. Also, you want 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, not garlic salt. Garlic salt has salt in it, so please do not use it. You need pre-packaged puff pastry. Now this recipe I made accidentally. I needed one more thing for a holiday gathering. I threw this together last minute and everybody loved it. So we're gonna roll this out. We want this to be even thinner than we were before with the Brie because of the way that we are rolling it. So make sure you get it as thin as you can without it beginning to fall apart or without melting your puff pastry. We're gonna take our filling, we're gonna put it into the middle. You're going to think this doesn't look like a lot of filling. It's not. You don't want to overload it. If you overload it, it's not going to bake up correctly. We're just looking for a very, very thin layer. So take it all the way out, leaving about roughly 1/2 inch of space on all 4 sides. This will give you room to roll everything. And we're just going to roll it up like a cinnamon roll. Don't roll it too tightly, or it will cause everything to squish out the sides. Just a nice, gentle roll. Fabulous. So once you have a nice, beautiful roll, here's the trick to making this extra fabulous. We're gonna get some plastic wrap, and we're going to turn this into basically a Yuletide sausage. And you are going to roll it up as tight as you can into your plastic wrap. Then you're grab those ends, you are going to begin to twist, making as tight as you can. This is what's going to help bind those all together. And it's also going to make it a lot easier because we're going to be slicing this later like a big cookie log. So once you've gotten it nice and tight, this is going to go in the refrigerator. And like the baked brie, this can be made way in advance. If you want, you can even freeze this for up to about a week. Just make sure you take it out one day in advance. And just as before, don't ever let it come to room temperature. Our next recipe could not be easier and is a favorite of Camera Guy. Here's what you're going to need. You're going to need 1.5 cups of grape jelly, any kind will do. You're going to need 1/2 cup to 1 cup, depending on how spicy you like it, of chili sauce, and 2 tablespoons of sambal. Now, if you're not familiar with it, sambal is kind of an Asian chili paste. You can usually find it in the Asian section of most mega marts, typically more often than not sold next to the sriracha. And the last thing you need are meatballs. I always use the Target meatballs. I've tried other ones and they just don't work as well. So that's what I'm gonna recommend today. We're gonna pour all of it into one of those bags that you use in a crock pot, because that's how we're going to be cooking this today. Trust me, when you're having a party, nothing is better than to have these crock pot liners. So we're gonna dump it all in. There are our meatballs, our grape jelly, our sambal, our chili sauce. Then we're gonna take this bag, tie it up, leave it inside of some kind of a small bowl, put it in the fridge, and that's it. Literally, you're done. Stop right there. Now, this can go in the fridge up to 3 days. I would not try to freeze it. It does not freeze well. Also, keep in mind, the longer that this is in the fridge, typically, the better it gets. We're ready for recipe number 4. Here we are in our last recipe. We are making eggnog parfaits. Again, something very, very, very simple, but let me tell you, this is probably one of the most impressive looking things that will be on your table. Here's what you're going to need. You're going to need 1¼ cups of eggnog, 1/2 cup of cream, and a package of instant vanilla pudding. That's it. Here's the equipment though, and this is where it's very important. You are going to be needing a pastry bag to be piping these into these adorable little cups. I'm gonna leave a link to them in the description below. They also come with itty bitty little spoons, and that's what make this recipe so delightful. All right, we're gonna add in our eggnog, our cream, and our Jell-O pudding. And we are going to beat this until it's nice and stiff. Start out on low, so that way you don't fling it everywhere. There we go. Once it becomes nice and thick, it'll take roughly about 2 minutes. The cream has helped to give it a nice, light texture. Now I know what you're thinking. If I put in more cream, it'll become lighter and fluffier. Yes, but you'll lose a lot of the flavor and it will become a little too fluffy. We're gonna put this into a pastry bag and we're gonna pipe it into those little dishes. All right, we're gonna pipe these into our little cups. Fill each one. All right, it's 2 to 4 days later. Earlier today, I went and put all my meatballs in a crock pot. They need to cook for 4 to 6 hours on high. 45 minutes before the party, I preheated my oven to 425 degrees. As soon as my oven is preheated and ready to go, I'm gonna take my baked brie out of the refrigerator, because like I said, it needs to be cold. We're gonna give it an egg wash, which is just simply an egg beaten with about 1 to 2 tablespoons of water. It's gonna do a few things. It's gonna help to promote browning on the outside of our baked brie, making it look extra fabulous. And it's also gonna act as a glue to make sure the top of our baked brie stays together. All right, now that our baked brie has been in the oven for about 10 minutes, we're gonna slice up our pinwheels, again, fresh from the refrigerator because we want those layers of butter. And we're gonna slice them just like you would a refrigerator cookie. Roughly about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch thick. Typically, I've found the thinner you do these, the better. You're gonna place them onto a parchment-lined sheet. Just like with the baked brie, the parchment paper is going to help promote browning. Periodically, take your roll, give it a quarter turn. Otherwise, I found that as you're cutting it, you're gonna end up with one flat side on your pumpkin rolls. Our eggnog parfaits, it's gonna make just about 12. When you start to get to the end, you're gonna end up with pieces like this. So the end pieces are not so great for serving. We're gonna put these in the 425-degree oven for about 15 minutes. All right, all our food is out and ready to go. The only thing we know is, well, people.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas, everybody!
Santa, I'm here!
Oh, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! Now, where's that food?